We're talking about development in Detroit. I'm going to play the Bridge Magazine clip again later on, but I'm going to take some calls. Follow us on Twitter, D. Alexander V, D. Alexander V, Facebook, Dave Alexander Bullet. We are on Facebook right now. Share this show on Facebook. We got to keep the momentum going. Also, let me say two things very, very quickly, but directly. The people have a store, a store. There's it is black owned, one, but the people have a store, and the store is on 7 Mile. And yesterday was our first day. It's a little soft open right now. Right, we're gonna have a grand opening, but the store's open. You can buy stuff in it. Lottery machine works. You can buy the lotto. The EBT works. The beer is cold. The wine has alcohol in it. You can get it. Ramen noodles. It is a store, a real one. So people came yesterday and were like, wow, I can't believe it's a real store. Yes, it's real. And so we want to support it. And I'll say more about that later on. But that store is open right now. Tyson Kelly is there. The Ashmores are there. I'll be there today around 12:30. We got to go to a session on police brutality downtown. But I'll be there today about 12:30. About 12:30 to 5 to 6. 12:30 to 6. I got Bible study at 7. Then I'm going on. But then I'm going back. Then I'm going on. Yeah, Bible study on Thursday, right? So look, that's at 16400, 16400, 7 Mile, West 7 Mile, between Greenfield and Southfield. I think I only talked to one hater yesterday. It was a great day. I was like, man, there was only one hater. Mostly everybody was positive who came, and folks came out and did show that love, but we need more of you to come. And I'm going to talk about that because it's connected to this development piece. Also, then Saturday, look, we need your support. Pie Banquet Hall, right on Northwestern Freeway in Southfield. We're having a celebration of yours truly. Look, I want y'all to come out, man. You know, they say, give me my flowers while I can smell them. Come on out, man. Kari Way Fraser's going to perform. Spud's going to be the Toastmaster, the MC. We're just going to have a good time. Come on out, 12 noon. Tickets are $35. You can go to the Facebook page, my Facebook page, to the event section, and you can purchase tickets online. Tickets are $35. But I want to go to Rick in Detroit. And Rick, you're on the air. Talk to us.
Hey, good morning, man. You put a real deep and complicated issue there, that economic development. And I'm probably one of very few people who initially worked with and co-founded the Detroit Renaissance Zone's promotion team among the companies that were a part of the first round of tax incentives. And I've said some of the same things that you're saying now in 2000 and in 1989, and I spoke again to the media cranes in 2009 about whether or not those Renaissance zones should expire or what needed to be done to make them more effective. And I think sometimes people get the wrong idea about those. They are not designed really to help small businesses or neighborhood businesses per se. They generally have an overarching mission. In that case, it was about repurposing and reusing former industrial sites, aged industrial sites. Mm-hmm. That was the one. Now, what happened is that you had people to lay out tax breaks, but there was no introduced plans from those individuals to do anything. And so it just happened to them, okay? Not planned out. So very few benefited from it. And to bring one of the businesses up that, qualified even then, it was that Packard property. The Packard property enjoyed, years of a Renaissance zone status, which really meant, no state taxes other than sales tax, right? And so we see that it didn't spur any development over there at the time, nothing productive. And that was through 2 and 3 administrations. And so I think the look that we want to find here are what are the tools for economic development in the neighborhoods that can impact, these areas and places more effectively. There are a lot of unanswered questions. And with the larger tax increments now that we're dealing with, the purpose And the only way it can help neighborhoods is if they tie in with a big project and do things in smaller portions near that project.
Right, and Rick, I think that's part of the conversation and the problem, because the big projects tend to steer clear of very, very depressed neighborhoods.
Absolutely. And that's because they have the option. And so I think whenever you don't have people, together, in that group, that's why I always bring that same thing up about community business or community reinvestment agreements of any type. You got to have the people that make up that first. And then they can dictate what it is that they're doing. When something is just slid out and given, people are reacting to it. They really haven't had time to, make plans up to take advantage of it. It becomes, more difficult to get done long as these things are unfolding. I think the better position for us is to be on the front end of introducing the types of incentives we need to develop the businesses we're targeting to develop as compared with this stuff. Now, most of us had no real input into the designations that are being made now, right? They didn't ask community people because they knew for the most part community people were not ready and probably didn't have a lot of input to add to this. And we're taking that into consideration. But I think we need to look at the things that help the kinds of businesses that we want to develop in these areas. And that's a different conversation because that's about incentivizing customers, attracting customers, and setting up a platform to expand the existing businesses. Now, that's not something that generally happens here. We don't take the business that's here, expand it. We generally will invite in new people and give them the tax breaks to help split up that area of industry, right? Mm-hmm. And so it's fraught with so many problems from the beginning that it would be hard to even approach this. I remember Mrs. Deering, Bert's mother, when she was at the liquor store down on East Jefferson. She would say, they're not going to give you anything. If you're going to get something, you're going to, need to get out there and work and make it and get it for yourself. To a great extent, that's true. For us. These tools are effective and they are needed, but they are not going to achieve that which we need to develop in these communities and the places and areas that we need to develop them, like you said. Now, it's true that the whole city of Detroit can almost be considered a poverty trap, meaning if you are giving tax incentives to projects near areas that have, more than a 20% poverty rate, right?
Right.
So rather than a slap, that's an acknowledgement, I think, that these areas are depressed. And I think the real spot is going back to this thing here and putting together what you're doing and starting with the small business nucleus and building that out and proposing the needed tools to expand your business and the other businesses that are there. That's how these guys did it. They were not really looking at what was in it for the community as much as how do we, move our business, how do we, look at ways of expanding to take some of this abandoned area and use it, And so I think that's where we need to get back to rather than being on the defensive on these things. And, I hope that, what you're doing and what some of the businesses are doing in Detroit will lead to that. An agenda for businesses like yours. That's where it is. You need to draw customers. What would be great over there is and they should provide incentives for your new business to draw customers to be introduced to your business, all right? Mm-hmm. And to give them incentives for making purchases. In the old days, you remember things like stamps. If you buy something, you go to a gift shop and you trade the stamps in, right? Well, those kinds of things work. They work well. It's just a matter of the businesses coming together, I think, and creating, their wish list, their suggestions for improvement, and then you can contrast them with some of the things that they're doing here. This type of $7.50 on a dollar as it relates to tax savings, which is almost a reimbursement program, can only be leveraged if you're getting a deal for $1 million and the bank said, ooh, that's about $100,000 more than we want to spend, and then you get the tax break and say, oh, okay, that makes it right, okay? So in that situation, it's cool. But, I just can't see how it really is going to benefit us. Like I said, I'm probably one of the only black people that dealt with those businesses from the get-go. was right there when the legislation was first written, when it came out of the state and through the MEDC, and saw exactly what can happen when you don't have a plan, you don't have a direction. I mean, these businesses got tax-free for 12 years, but, it was still no leverage to develop anything that was useful within that time frame.
Yeah. I think you're right on, Rick. Hey, man, thanks for calling. I appreciate the call. Let's go to line 2. Brenda, you're on the air. Talk to us.
Good morning, David.
Good morning.
The bottom line for depressed communities is you have to look at it from government, from the business model, and then from the citizens in the neighborhood. And as we know, Chris Ilitch and Peter Ilitch said they purposely depressed Cass Corridor. They bought a couple of buildings and kept them raggedy so that the rest of the community property value would go down so they could buy that up at a cheap price.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually, they got 300 blocks for $1 from the what? The city government.
Mm-hmm.
And who was sitting at the city council table to approve that? Black folks that we elected.
Mm-hmm.
That saw that they could get a couple of pieces of silver off of that big mound of gold that was going to people who did not care for us. Well, under the guise while they're feeding us jobs, which we know that we're getting less than 30% of the jobs.
Mm-hmm.
So they're bringing the workforce from out of the city to feed off of the city, which is what the business people are doing. Now look at the Amazon piece. The first line, which Duggan and none of the city council made that up. This was Dan Gilbert who started to write that contract. He said Detroit is for sale. He didn't say District Detroit. He didn't say downtown, midtown Detroit. He said Detroit is for sale. If you look it up, that's the first line.
Right.
And then the incentive to Amazon was 30 years of no taxes. And if you moved into Detroit, you got 15 years. That's the workforce. 15 years of no taxes. Meanwhile, the poor people who they ran down their community and we have a low tax base are paying for them. There's nobody, Duggan, Ilitch, Penske, they're not paying 1 cent of taxes downtown or midtown.
I mean, but Brenda, remember this. I mean, this is, and everything you're saying is right on point. This is a national and maybe even international development model, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's called corporate welfare. That's what it's called.
Absolutely.
All right, so let's call it what it is. Well, that's what it is. It is corporate welfare.
Corporate expansion.
Right,
they call it business.
When the city council approved the practice facility on the backs of taxpayers, when the state legislature
$55 million
approved the Olympia Entertainment Development on the backs of taxpayers.
Upwards of $1 billion.
When properties like the train station can be blighted and dilapidated for years. Now, recently they put new windows in it, but if it could just sit there, we're not sure if people have to pay taxes on that stuff or not. If the tax
water's trying to buy
or if the water bill's being paid. We're not sure about any of this. Let's call it what it is. People who have money, somehow we give them taxpayer money. But folks who don't have money and folks who are in areas that are depressed, right, they don't get the same kind of support. And those
foreclosed off.
That's right. And those areas don't get the same kind of support. And then and then the other part of this is we don't have a black business class that does development for real. Let's just be honest about that. Who is the black equivalent of Dan Gilbert in Detroit?
And to